Picture this, you just found a briefcase with $2 million inside. Sounds like a dream, right? Except there is one massive problem. You cannot spend a single dollar of it, not on a house, not on a car, not even on a nice dinner. The moment you try to buy something big, someone is going to ask where that money came from, and saying you found it in a briefcase is not going to convince anyone. This is the oldest problem in the criminal underworld, and the solution people invented to solve it is one of the most fascinating systems in the entire financial world. It is called money laundering, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how criminals turn dirty cash into clean fortunes and why almost nobody ever catches them. Let's start with the basics. Dirty money is any money that comes from illegal activity, drug deals, fraud, bribery, or hiding income from the government. The problem with this money is that it leaves fingerprints. Every bank transfer, every large purchase, every investment creates a paper trail, and paper trails are exactly what investigators are trained to follow. So the entire goal of laundering is to take money that looks suspicious and slowly transform it into money that looks completely ordinary. That single idea is the foundation of a global shadow economy worth trillions of dollars. The first stage is called placement, and it is by far the most dangerous part of the entire process. This is the moment a criminal has to get physical cash into the financial system without triggering alarms. Banks are required to report any single deposit over $10,000 in the United States, so walking in with a bag full of cash is basically begging to get caught. This is why criminals developed a technique called smurfing, where they break a large sum into dozens of smaller deposits, each one just under the reporting limit, spread across different banks and different days. Some criminal organizations even hire people whose entire job is to walk from bank to bank making these small deposits. Other criminals buy cash-heavy businesses like restaurants, laundromats, or car washes because it is nearly impossible for regulators to verify how much cash a business actually earned in a day. But what most people fail to realize is that placement is only the beginning. The real genius of money laundering happens in the next stage. This is called layering, and it is where things get almost artistic. The goal here is not to hide the money in one place, but to move it so many times, through so many accounts, across so many countries, that anyone trying to trace it simply gives up. A criminal might wire funds from one country to a shell company in a second country, which then loans that money to another shell company in a third country, which invests it somewhere else entirely. After 5 or 6 of these transfers, even trained financial investigators lose the thread completely. Shell companies make this possible. These are companies that exist only on paper with no employees, no office, and no real business activity, just a name and a bank account. In places like Delaware, the British Virgin Islands, or the Cayman Islands, anyone can create one of these companies for a few $100s, and in many cases, the real owner's identity never has to be revealed publicly. So, when investigators try to follow the money, they run into a company owned by another company, owned by a trust, managed by a lawyer who cannot legally reveal his client. That is usually where the trail goes cold. The final stage is called integration, and this is the payoff every criminal is working toward. By now the money has been placed into the system and layered beyond recognition, so it can finally come back looking completely legitimate. One of the most popular integration tricks is real estate. A criminal buys a luxury apartment in a major city through a shell company, holds onto it for a year or two, then sells it, and suddenly that dirty money has transformed into a legitimate profit from a property sale. This is actually one of the reasons so many luxury apartments in cities like London, Dubai, and Miami sit completely empty, owned by mystery companies that nobody can trace. Another favorite trick is fine art. A painting can sell for $50 million, and almost nobody questions whether that price reflects its real value or whether the beer has to explain where the money came from. The art world runs on secrecy and reputation rather than transparency, which makes it a perfect final washing machine for dirty fortunes. Here is the part that should genuinely disturb you. The United Nations estimates that somewhere between $800 billion and $2 trillion gets laundered globally every single year, which is roughly 2% of the entire world's economic output. And out of all of that money, investigators only manage to seize about 1% of it. That means criminals succeed 99 times out of 100. In any other industry, a 99% success rate would be considered a miracle. In the world of financial crime, it is just an average Tuesday.